For years, Web3 architecture relied on a single structural premise: build a decentralized network and power it with a globally traded protocol token. This required cramming financial yield, network governance, and operational utility into one monolithic instrument. By collapsing these distinct rights, developers inadvertently forced their entire network into the most restrictive legal category available. If any part of a token behaves like an investment contract, regulators classify the whole instrument as a digital security. Building an enterprise-grade network today requires a different architectural approach. The solution is the regulatory decomposition doctrine, breaking the monolithic token apart into its functional components. Asset sponsors building decentralized physical infrastructure networks, or DPINs, require a compliant mechanism to coordinate hardware and energy. They cannot legally mint unregistered securities to achieve it. To survive institutional scrutiny, modern networks must physically and contractually separate economic rights from operational utility. This structural separation is now a regulatory mandate. On March 17, 2026, the SEC and CFTC jointly issued a binding interpretation that established the definitive legal foundation for every crypto asset. The agencies classified tokens into 5 distinct categories: digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, stablecoins, and digital securities. This prioritizes economic substance over marketing labels. The Howey text applies regardless of technology. An on-chain energy security is treated identically to an off-chain security. Evervolve AI developed a tokenization-as-a-service model built on federated tokenization to navigate this landscape. Instead of risking the entire business on a single meta token, Evervolve allows enterprises to isolate their compliance exposure. Each organization launches a modular, self-contained sovereign economy on top of shared infrastructure. Consider an enterprise deploying a new sovereign economy on the Evervolve platform. The process begins with a blank architectural slate. The foundation of the stack is the asset token. Real-world asset sponsors require this base layer to represent actual economic interest in physical infrastructure, such as a special-purpose vehicle holding energy assets. Because this instrument carries yield and represents an investment, it falls unambiguously under SEC jurisdiction as a digital security. Issuance follows strict legal boundaries. Under the default framework, these tokens are issued via Regulation D, Rule 506C, restricted to verified, accredited investors. Compliance is enforced directly at the smart contract layer. The protocol hard codes transfer restrictions, ensuring the asset can only move between whitelisted, permissioned wallets. Trapping the financial yield inside this restricted, legally compliant base layer protects the rest of the operational network from securities law contamination. With financial assets secured, the challenge shifts to operations. How do you incentivize operators to run a physical network without creating another speculative asset? The solution is the second layer, the work token, designed for decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Its function is isolated. It exists to reward operators for verified, physical, off-chain contributions to the network, specifically compute cycles or energy delivery. The economic engine of this layer relies on a tokenomic model called the burn and mint equilibrium. On the demand side, enterprise customers purchase network services using stable fiat credits. That purchase automatically triggers the burning of work tokens. On the supply side, new tokens are minted and distributed to operators. This reward is based entirely on their proven physical output, not on any managerial effort by a central issuer. Under the 2026 taxonomy, this instrument operates as a closed-loop digital tool. It remains within the sovereign economy and avoids public exchange listings. The burn and mint model insulates enterprise users from token volatility, while cleanly separating the network's operational utility from its financial base. A fully functioning economy requires rules for participation. If you allow identity, access, and voting rights to hold tradable financial value, you invite regulatory scrutiny. Evervolve manages this through the soul-bound operational layer. The first primitive here is the compliance credential. This acts as an automated gatekeeper. It proves KYC, AML, and accreditation status at the smart contract level, allowing authorized participants to interact with the restricted security tokens below. The second primitive is the reputation token. This is a track record of an operator's behavior. It functions as a slashable stewardship score used to penalize fraudulent hardware operators, and it carries zero economic value. Architecting these operational tools as soul-bound, permanently non-transferable, neutralizes the Howey test. Because no secondary market exists, there is no legal basis for a profit expectation. The final component in the central stack is the Agent Access Utility. This instrument provides the software authorization for Centaur OS, connecting the sovereign economy to a fleet of automated agents that manage compliance workflows and generate SEC sandbox reports. To coordinate these components, the stack utilizes the third interlocking ring, the governance pass. This pass enforces strict operational boundaries. It restricts voting exclusively to network mechanics, explicitly blocking votes on financial distributions to avoid fiduciary overlap. The sovereign economy is now structured, but it still requires a mechanism to move money safely across the network. This introduces the final encompassing layer, the settlement layer. To maintain compliance, the platform mandates that enterprises never issue in-house stablecoins. All inter-party payments rely instead on third-party Genius Act-compliant stablecoins. A fully assembled 7-instrument stack achieves the objective, running a high-velocity, decentralized infrastructure network directly on top of a highly restricted digital security. Looking at the base platform layer that hosts these sovereign economies, we must ask the obvious Web3 question: where is the globally traded protocol token? It isn't there. Evervolve AI intentionally operates without a Layer 1 meta token. A universal token spanning multiple sovereign economies would immediately attract investment-style marketing. It would carry value across the entire platform, creating a massive centralized regulatory liability. Instead, Evervolve monetizes as a software business. It generates revenue through recurring SaaS subscriptions and strictly defined audited protocol fees on operational throughput. Positioning the platform strictly as an infrastructure software provider rather than a speculative token issuer secures the long-term legal durability of the enterprise. At the macro scale, the power of this federated ecosystem becomes clear. This modular architecture scales horizontally. It allows real estate operators, private credit funds, and energy infrastructure sponsors to run parallel, customized economies safely on a shared foundation. The 2026 guidelines make it impossible to drive network growth through a single speculative utility asset without triggering a permanent registration violation. Establishing a durable institutional network requires the precise contractual decomposition of legal ownership, economic rights, and operational utility into separate, interoperable layers. Enterprises that adopt the 7-instrument federated architecture will safely capture the next era of decentralized infrastructure, leaving legacy single-token projects stranded in regular